Yeah, we're at Queener. We're at Queener now. Yep.
Declan, you want to just come back down that road and look to your left, or go down about 300-400 metres, and just keep looking to your left. You'll see 3 cows. Just push them in on the road. They're only about 50 metres, 100 metres off the road on your left, going towards Rusty or back to that other mill. Do you want to grab them? No, Roger.
My name's David Dogger Thompson. My 2 sons and myself, we've been the leases of Mundabullangana station for 15 years. We, I think, are about the 4th leasee from its original taking up of the lease by a Scots family by the name of Mackays. I think they took the lease up in 1868, I think it was. Mackays built the house, which I'm sitting on the front veranda of it now. I think that was built in the turn of the century, I think around about 1910, so the house is 100 odd years old. They travelled up from Cossack, found Mundabull, which is a big freshwater pool, 300-400 yards from the main homestead here. They run sheep. I think it was, in its original concept, it was 1 million acres, and I think they run, to start with, something like 50,000 sheep. At any rate, they, in 1986, decided that they would change the station over from a sheep enterprise to a cattle enterprise in 86, so that was the end of the shearing.
What you can see here in front of you is our breeding herd for the future. This is our keeper heifers that we've chosen as our #1 females off our drop for the 2010-11 season. We walk them through the yards. We try to give them as much human contact as we can. We walk them up and down the race and all the places that they're scared of. We try to teach them there's nothing to be scared of. How we make them this quiet, or we put a lot of effort into it, myself and all our workers. We spend probably the first 3 or 4 days feeding them hay, walking them through the yards, and then we start to release them out into the holding paddocks. We have paddocks all around the homestead, small paddocks, some 20 acres, some 1,000 acres, and we start them off in a 20-acre paddock, bringing them in every night in the afternoon at 3:30, and we let them out every morning at about 7 o'clock, and we block them out on the motorbike, and we never let them run out of the yards. They've always got to learn to walk out of the yards, and they've got to learn to walk back in, and there's nothing to be scared about in our yards. And eventually, after about a week, they start to realise at 3:30 they've got to walk back into the yard. So normally they're waiting at the gate to come back in, and they have a drink of water, and they get a bale of hay, and it all's good. So this is part of their education. What we're trying to do by making our cows quiet for the future, or our young cattle quiet for the future, and we're finding this already on Munda in the last 3 years, we've targeted this style. We're finding now that there's no angry cattle in the yards, even when they get older. They accept that it's 1 day in the yards. We try to narrow our muster down to 1 day in the yards. Once we get them sort of this quiet, tomorrow they'll be released out into a bigger paddock, 1,000 acres, and from there they'll be bring back in about a week after that, and then they'll be drafted into their lines and they'll go to suit our paddocks. We have 11 major paddocks on Munda, over 600,000 acres. They'll be selected for their type to suit that paddock. Some of our paddocks are a little bit harsher than others, with tougher feed, or harder feed I should say. We select a different type of breed there, and a different bull goes into that paddock, so that basically all the calves should look the same. Even though they might have a different looking father than other paddocks, the mothers may look different to other paddocks, the calves end up even. So that's what we're trying to achieve here, and hopefully over the next 5 years we'll have it perfected. When this decision came out a month ago, we're in total disbelief and shock, but we're into our muster. We just started our muster and decided we had to make some quick decisions whether we'd carry on or not. Of course, we had a duty of care to our animals and our land and the people that work for us. So the family decided that we would fund the muster
We've just about completed that in a short time, and we've taken off every animal that we could to protect the mothers in the herd, or the cow, our breeding stock, our asset for the future, hopefully. And now they're in holding paddocks. We've probably got about a month to 5 weeks of feed left, and hopefully by then a decision will be made to open up the trade. There seems to be a myth in Australia, or with our politicians, that these countries that we send live export cattle and sheep to can afford to eat processed beef that Australians have packaged at high wage costs and high product costs. Completely and 100% incorrect. If they got off and did their homework and got out there in the field, they realise that these people that are buying our beef over in these countries, that's the only way they can afford to eat it. It comes at a high cost in alternatives, which aren't even available to them anyway. If a decision hasn't been made in 6 weeks to open up the trade, then we're going to have to make some serious decisions on what we do with these stock. To ship them to Perth is going to come at a high cost in loss of weight, loss of in high cost of trucking, and a loss also in price. So that's if we can even sell the stock in the south. Already we have processing facilities down there that are booked out for the next 6 weeks. So it's going to be highly likely that there won't be any options for us in the south. We can only hope there will be. If there's not, well then the worst case scenario is that unfortunately we might have to shoot some of these animals. This government needs to understand that it got it terribly wrong. A knee-jerk reaction has damaged our credibility with the Indonesians, and they need to admit that they were wrong. In this decision made within a week, for the first time in 140 years this cattle station has operated, firstly as a sheep station in 1867, right up till now. It'll be the first year it won't have an income. That in itself must tell the Australian public that something is drastically wrong with what this decision has, the implications of this decision. Live export trade in this country is worth $1.2 billion. So we can't do without it. Why put all your eggs in one basket and think that mining's going to be there forever? It may not be. The government's remedy, well, firstly, banks show a little bit of compassion. Once again, move the blame away from the government onto the banks. Put pressure on the banks. I have an asset here that doesn't have a value. How can the banks lend money against no asset? Then you've got $3 million for our workers. Dole payments, basically. That doesn't pay a car off or all the debt that those fellas and girls carry. Then they've got a $30 million package for people in the industry. Well, it's $25,000 is what I receive when it's $80,000 to run this cattle station per month. It's got to be a joke, that. That's a laugh. I don't want a handout from the government. I want my job back. That's what I want. So Julia Gillard and your government will go down in history as the worst. You will be the worst Prime Minister and the worst government that we've ever had, whoever the government is. Is it the Greens, or is it the Independents, or is it Labor? Whatever it is, it's laughable.